On PM Express tonight, a conversation that is happening as we speak. The Parliament's Committee on Constitutional Legal Affairs are currently meeting, trying to flesh out this particular bill for passage likely on 29th, next week. And that's why we have this conversation. The bill on vigilantism is legislation dissolution. We know that it come April 29th, barring any hitches, this will be passed into law. You recall that the president announced when his decision in the State of the Nation address that the party should go and talk, but if they fail to reach a consensus on disbanding party militias, he will proceed with legislation. Now, the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee is currently engaging, as I indicated, in trying to flesh this out, trying to iron out some of the differences. They've written to civil society groups asking them to bring memoranda that may influence the final text of the bill that Parliament will consider. We also know there's been concerns, however, that the legislation is needless since much anticipated dialogue between the two parties is already underway. Just last week, they started meeting for the very first time. And so why do we need a bill? Why do we need a law on the matter? Now, the bill, we know, some of the ingredients that we know can be found in the bill, creates offenses specific to political party vigilante groups, the phenomenon of land guards, but also other acts of vigilantism. It also prohibits participation in a political party vigilante group and with an offensive weapon. Now, this particular offense carries up to 10 to 15, up to 10 to 25 years imprisonment if you violate it. That's how stiff the sanctions are as far as the bill is concerned. Also, it makes aiding and abetting of activities of political party vigilante groups an offense with penalty of imprisonment of not less than 5 years, but also not more than 15 years. That's the range for this particular offense. Now, it prohibits the funding of such political parties. In fact, anybody found to be sponsoring such a political vigilante group, for example, can get up to 10, 15 years as well, as in this bill prescribed by the Attorney General's office, by government as well. So, quick question is legislation the solution? Because some of the parties already have been dialoguing on this matter. Is dialogue the solution, or is a case of legislation? We'll talk about that. People who have been working on this for a while will join me. But then also something that is related. Remember that in the heat of the Yawaso West Legon by-election confusions, it emerged that the tape has leaked in which political elements within the NDC were plotting to cause mayhem. And some have suggested they were plotting to use these same vigilante groups to cause mayhem on some public offices. Well, the national chairman of the NDC is in court already, being prosecuted on this matter, had his first day in court today, charged with conspiracy to commit crime and an assault of a public officer. The AG accused but we know that the NDC has accused the party of, in essence, has accused the government, in essence, of abusing their prosecutorial powers. We'll look at that in conjunction with the bill itself and see how this particular process that has been started in court today may poison the atmosphere going into the further talks that the party had planned. I mean, can this potentially jeopardize those talks now that the incumbent, the government, the CID, and the Attorney General's office has decided to go ahead with prosecution of the main opposition party's national chairman? We'll be analyzing all these very interesting, complicated matters after the break here on PM Express. Stay with us. And you are live on PM Express. My guest in the studio is the head of the National Commission for Civic Education, Madam Josephine Nkrumah. Thank you, Madam, for your time. This is like the third time you've been here, all on this very important subject of vigilantism. Also with me is private legal practitioner Victor Kojoga Dawudu. He just come from court today in the matter of the national chairman of the NDC, who has been processed before court and being prosecuted. The affairs that may jeopardize the attempts to get the parties to sit and talk. It may poison the atmosphere. Let's see if maybe we could get some thoughts from him on whether how does that shake the NDC's commitment to the process going forward that Madam Josephine Nkrumah and others have been at for a while now. Last week, they issued a fascinating report into vigilantism that you should read. It's just sort of teasing out some of the key things and based on their own conversations. We'll come to that shortly. And of course, our main priority is the bill that is it's before Parliament. We know that the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee is meeting currently, trying to get stakeholders' input before they pass it, possibly next week, 29th of April. Madam Joseph Nkrumah, I don't know if you've seen the bill.
I have.
You have? Okay, good, fantastic. You've seen the bill yourself?
Yeah.
You've seen the copy of the bill, okay. We'll speak to the chairman of the committee shortly. He's going to be talking to us from, I think, Koforidua. That's where they'll be meeting. Immediately after Parliament went on recess, they recalled everybody there to try and start looking into the bill. Your general reaction, your general overview of the bill?
I think I'll say I've had mixed feelings
Okay.
about it. Some of the provisions of the bill actually touch on the recommendations that we find in our report,
Yes.
the NCCA report. So to that extent, I think, okay, maybe this is one way, let me emphasize, maybe this is one way of addressing it. But I think in light of the many other issues surrounding vigilantism, there are some complexities that arise. And of course, you've already alluded to the fact that there's a matter in court. The parties are supposed to be sitting with the National Peace Council as we speak. And so these are some of the things that we should consider. Is it the only way, is passing the bill into law the only way that we can address it? Or, like we have proposed, the NCC has proposed, we should follow a certain roadmap? Because I believe that passing a law in itself will not cure the problem. There are deep roots or underlying causes that has given rise to vigilantism. And I don't think that the law necessarily addresses those issues. To the extent that it says that there cannot be, we outlaw vigilantism. Okay, we outlaw vigilantism, but what are the, what is the aftermath of that? What happens when, a leader comes and says, I have 20 members in my group, they are A, B, C, D, E, and yes, so these are their names. What if they decide to go under?
Yeah.
I think you want a process that involves everybody, a process that allows everybody to air his views or her views and give us a broader perspective on the issues that are at stake. One of the main issues that have come to the fore in our engagement, and which is in our report, has been the mutual mistrust between
the parties.
And of course, the lack of confidence in the police service.
Yeah.
How does the law address it?
And I see that you made some fascinating fundamental recommendations in your report. I'll come to that shortly, but I'm delighted to say we've just been joined by the chairman of the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee, Mr. Ben Abdallah. Mr. Abdallah, thank you for your time on PM Express.
You are welcome.
Thank you very much. And I know you've been burning the midnight candle, trying to make this bill ready for consideration by the entire House on the 29th, we've been told. How is that process going?
Let me say is it good evening to all your viewers?
Yes.
We have been on course since Parliament went on recess. We have written a number of letters to our stakeholders, a number of religious bodies. We've written letters to individuals. We've written letters to political parties. And we've also written letters to some of the vigilante groups. But not all the letters have been dispatched. As I'm talking to you now, some of the letters will be dispatched on Monday. But I've had my clerk speaking to some of the experts, and they've all shown their willingness and readiness to contribute to the debate. And meanwhile, my clerk has advertised notices inviting memoranda from the public expressing their soliciting their views with respect to the form, if you like, and the content or the substance of the bill. The committee has tentatively fixed the 24th of this month to do the stakeholder engagement. On the 25th, that is the day after the stakeholder engagement, the committee will meet on its own to take into consideration or to examine the proposed any proposed amendment that may have been proffered that is at the stakeholder engagement, and after that examine the vigilantism bill clause by clause. We are doing all this so that before Parliament is recalled on the 29th of this month, we will have finished whatever is expected of us and made our report ready to be presented to the plenary when Parliament is recalled on the 29th. So that on the 29th, all things being equal, we can take our report and do the second reading of the vigilantism bill, and thereafter, probably all things being equal, take the bill through the consideration stage and then take it through the next step, which is the third reading, and get the bill passed. That is tentatively the timetable of the committee.
Okay. And in the writing, I guess, to the many stakeholders that are involved, I wonder if the political parties have been invited, correct? To share?
Yes, we have written to the political parties, and in fact, we have written to at least 5 of the, if like, major political parties, including MPP, NDC, CPP. So these are the political parties we have selected and then written to.
You talk about a stakeholder engagement on the 24th. Is this going to be open to the public? Is this going to be a public sitting of a sort? What form will this take?
Yes, it's going to be a public sitting. Once it is a stakeholder engagement, we will hold the meeting. I mean, it's going to be open to the public, and it's going to be done in Parliament, and everybody is invited to attend. Whether you bring a memorandum or you don't bring a memorandum, once I'm transmitting this information through your medium, you can attend if you are interested. If you have any thoughts or any view or perspective to share with us, you are cordially invited to attend upon the committee and share your perspectives with us.
Okay. I'm grateful that you joined us. That's good information. We don't want to get that out. Thank you very much. I know you've been very busy with this. We'll let you go. Quick for that quick update. We're grateful for that. Madam Joseph Nkrumah, so they're trying to reach out now. Yes. Would you be submitting, because you've done a lot of work on this. You knew a lot of stuff that may help make this bill better. I don't know if you want to engage.
Certainly, we are inclined to engage, and of course, our report is available.
Yeah.
They can look to it and then see the views that have been expressed in the report by various stakeholders, and use that as one of, perhaps a reference document as we dialogue or debate on the provisions of the Constitution. So for NCC, because of the seriousness of this, we decided to just put the report online.
Yep.
So it's available to everybody. Once you go nccgh.org, the report is available. It spells out the views expressed by all stakeholders and their recommendations that they've made. It also spells out what in their view are the factors that have contributed to vigilantism. And so it's very, very broad. It's from socialization to what goes on in the zone goes to the mistrust between the two political parties, lack of confidence in the Ghana Police Service, security of tenure, constitutional reform. All of those things are expressed there. And that's why I think that the bill in itself may address certain aspects of it, but the root causes of it is what we would like to see addressed.
Okay.
And that needs to be addressed holistically. Otherwise, you just find perhaps a group of people who operate in a more sinister manner.
Yeah.
So you'll never see them coming out to say, I'm for this political party or that political party, but nonetheless will be carrying out their own activities to suit one or the other party. And secondly, what makes it even more complex is that you have the ad hoc groups as well, who are not affiliated to any party. So in addition to performing or to offering services of land guards to, individuals or corporate entities, they are also available to do the bidding of anybody who is willing to pay for the commodity of violence.
Yeah.
So these are some of the complexities that we think we need to address.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Victor, your general view on the bill? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I think that... Yeah.
Before you even go to that, what's your reaction to the work that the committee is doing? They have a very short, limited time, but at least they're trying to engage.
Yeah, they're trying to engage. Yeah, I think they want to give a resemblance of engagement and consultation.
Yeah.
Before they pass it under the certificate of agency. But would one day meeting bring out all the stakeholders and their views, the deep-seated issues about the mistrust, about alternative, about tenure of the livelihood of the people, and one day alone, I don't think that. So at the end of the day, we may have a beautiful piece of law, legislation, but will it be workable? Who will implement it? Will there be that political will on the part? Who is going to implement that law? Is it the police, who we know are the law enforcers? Will they have that capacity or have that audacity to say that we are implementing this law?
Is this law good enough based on what you've seen?
I think it's limited in scope.
Okay.
It just targets about just political vigilantism and landguardism. But even with the landguardism, it says that although we have this law, that does not mean that you cannot
protect your property.
own property with some force. So if I go to my land with some of my family friends, about 10, and they said, this is my land. Anybody who comes on this my land, I won't forgive you. And there's a scuffle. Is that landguardism? Now, you see, it's different also when you watch within Accra. Let me take Accra here, the land issue. Most of the people who go around tells you we are coming from this family. We are coming from this family. We are going around to protect our lands. Can that also be said to be landguardism? Apart from being pure thievery, armed robbery groups, which have metamorphosed into landguardism because of the work they do. Now they are there for their services to be hired. So if I'm protecting my property, where there's 2 or 3 people or group of people, then they can say it's landguardism. So yes, this law will be contested also by Article 20 from 20 Green, that even political parties group, you can meet a group of people who you belong to a political party. So how do you differentiate that we are in a group? Now, can a political party and 8 people have intelligence committee within their party? Right? So if the name changes from a security or to intelligence, people are doing intelligence gathering. Is that vigilantism? That is why it needs to be broad consultation.
But they define the political party vigilante very closely, and the definition says that if you go to the clause on definition,
yes,
that a political party vigilante group means a group of 2. Yeah, it says here that vigilante groups. That's on definitions. Vigilante group means a group of 2 or more persons acting in concert with the aim of enforcing law and order without authority except as provided in Article 3 of the Constitution and any other enactment. Doesn't that deal with the concern you raise? So that if a group of people, as you suggest, so they have an intelligence committee, acting in concert with the aim of enforcing, that's it, their aim, without authority, that is a vigilante group according to this law.
Yes.
So then the law catches them. You can't do that. The law says you can't do that. You cannot meet with the purpose of enforcing law and order without authority.
I don't think that most of these vigilante groups go that they want to enforce the law.
That's what they do.
No, stop it. What they do,
I'll ask you shortly because you've been doing a lot of investigation onto this.
Most of them, what they do is that they get to a place and they say that we want to protect ourselves, right? That they think it's what has to be done. We are protecting ourselves. They are protecting their members. They are protecting people, the individuals who they have allegiance to.
True.
Right. So they go with them. They follow them.
But that's the work of the police.
It is when you.
That's the work of the police.
Yes. When you veer into that.
So this law says you can't do that.
Yes. That is when
trying to enforce a law without authority.
So that is when you veer into that.
But
that when you want to enforce the law. Now, when the people follow you, you go around.
Yeah.
Let's say elections, and people are going around.
Yeah.
That they are supervising, they want to see. Maybe they have a stake in their election. Are they enforcing the law?
No, but you can't do that also because they are accredited agents.
That is why.
Vigilantism
in its proper sense
is when there's an absence of state actors performing their role.
Yeah.
And it really has a positive connotation, as in what do we then do as citizenry to protect ourselves, to provide
just
security.
To back that point, the law says that these are it says the clause further provides for persons in respect of whom the bill does not apply. Just to back your point. These are a group of 2 or more persons who live within the same neighborhood or community and who act in concert with the aim of preventing an offense from being committed within that neighborhood or community and any other neighborhood or community, and a person who, having witnessed the commission of an offense, acts with the sole aim of preventing the further commission of that offense. So in itself, it says positive vigilantism.
Yes.
It's not an offense under this law.
Not an offense. You see, the thing is that this whole idea of security because the police are not there to do their work.
Or we don't trust them.
We don't trust them. It's even finding expression in churches.
Okay.
I mean, recently we've had incidents where pastors, bodyguards, even attack media persons.
Yes.
You understand me? So it's a creeping culture that we need to deal with, even beyond the issue of what is related to political parties. Because somebody who thinks that I want my own group of security to take care of me now decides that, well, you've said this and really it offends me and I take the law into my own hands and I have these people who come and, wreak
they rough you up.
They rough you up.
Yeah.
And it's happening. And we are quiet about it. We make a little noise and it dies down. But we need to begin to regulate that whole thing. Who provides security?
Yeah.
Who provides security? In one of the recommendations or the factors, I think if it's not the Joint Intelligence Committee of the National Security Council, where they say that we should even look at regulating these so-called security agencies.
Definitely.
You understand me? Because where are these so-called big men, macho men coming from? And why do you now find them guarding or providing certain services for certain personalities? Is there a need? What is the essence of it? And once you begin to accept it, you are lending legitimacy to it. And then now they begin to assert themselves in certain ways that begin to infringe upon the law. And so we have to look at this thing very holistically. And I don't think that just the law, like I said earlier, is going to solve the problem. There's a lot more that goes into it. One of the things that I wanted to see, and I'm hoping that we would see roped in one way or the other, is the role of the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission. Because these people, these vigilante groups are armed. Most of them are armed, they're trained. Now, to the extent that you are asking that the leaders should register the members, disband and then let us know,
who they are.
That is one of the recommendations we made, that you need a process that these people can be identified and registered, two-pronged. One, to ensure that you can reintegrate them into society, and then also to retrieve arms from them. I want to see that in the bill, because just saying that, yes, okay, we have disbanded. What are they doing with the arms? That is a worry for me. And it should be the worry of every Ghanaian. Because now you have people who probably are controlled by a political party. They may have been formed or been encouraged to be formed by a political party. And now the political party says, Charlie, we can't go there anymore. You know, the law is there, and so we have to be seen to be. There should be we should have an arm's length relationship.
Plausible deniability. You know, you don't know them,
so
but they are
not
operating.
Controlling them, and these people will begin to say, hey, then where are we getting our daily bread from?
What
are we going to do? They have.
You think it makes them even more dangerous?
I think so.
You raise a very important point, though, that the clause that says that once it comes into force, if you're existing vigilante group, you have to quickly write to the minister, in this case, the minister of, and telling them that you disbanded when you did it, members. It doesn't add and surrender your weapons.
No.
So that's a very important point. So it doesn't add surrender your weapons. No. So it's assuming that these people just operate without weapon. But we've seen from past experience that they actually have these weapons. And the point you've asked is, so if they, assuming they come with this piece of paper and say, Evans Mensah, Victor Dawudu are members, past and present, they've satisfied the law. But what about the weapons that they may hold? That's a fundamental question. Yes,
and
Victor.
How about even the people who are past and present members and it's been disbanded, who have found their way into the security
services, which is the NDC's main concern, that there are people there.
I get in it. Now, when the chairman for the constitutional, I was expecting to hear from some of the security aspects that they've written
to some of them. Okay,
some of them that they should also be part of the stakeholder engagement. But I didn't hear that. Maybe so we need to look at it. And for me, this law, yes, it will be passed. But if it is passed, what is the capacity of the police? How are we beefing it up
to enforce it?
To enforce this.
But isn't this simple?
No, we've had a lot of laws.
Chase them out and arrest them and put them in for 15 years.
No.
Clear cut.
How?
And I like because one of the big issues has been the sentencing regime around. You know the
it's so lenient.
It's been.
It used to be very lenient.
Yes. So this I like that. Okay, now people really understand that you're going in for a long time.
Minimum is 5.
Yes.
Maximum 25 years. That's serious.
It's deterrent.
Yes.
It's very deterrent, you know.
Yeah.
But my issue is how do you enforce this law? We have seen several laws.
You don't see that this is enforceable. So, for example, if this law was...
Is it going to be the same police institution we have? That is going to arrest? That is going to prosecute?
This is an interesting thing, actually. If you look at the schedule, which lists the specific vigilante groups, there are more MPP-affiliated vigilante groups than there are NDC-affiliated groups.
I thought there were about 16 groups that...
Yes.
Yes.
More, maybe more. Now, but the interesting thing about this bill is that it empowers the minister
to expand
it. But some say that's a dangerous thing. So the minister can say, oh, Kojoga and Dawudu, your group is a vigilante group, and therefore put it on the list. And because this is by executive instrument, it doesn't need to go to anybody. So if you have a bad governor at the helm of affairs and wants to cripple his political opponents, you can just cite your small groups that you use for your and criminalize all of them.
Exactly. Where we have, especially, you find...
So that is open to abuse.
It's open to abuse. Where you have some of these young men who decide to come together and, you find some of them, they say, well, this is parliament. Where they start arguing. And, you find there's a group...
So you have TAIN, right? You have TAIN, for example.
Not even this. Maybe you go to, let's say, Nima, you go to some of the campuses. You see a group which identified with one party, others, they all meet and they say we are in parliament, right?
To debate issues, etc.
To debate issues. Sometimes they even fight. There's brawl here, there's fisticuffs. So if such group exists, then that means the minister can issue that fiat by executive instrument and say this
That group is
has been
out of
disbanded.
business.
Right?
Well,
You see-
I think that the crime is defined
In the law.
In the law.
So you know what is so
Trying to
it tells
enforce the
you-
law without authority or weapons,
but then
etc.
the aiding and abetting
Betting.
and all of that. So I think
It's quite defined.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think it is.
So if you're just
it's
meeting
quite
to,
defined.
as you say, debate, it doesn't come under the law. But if you want to, yes.
My question is, who constitutes a member?
It defines it. It says a member of what, a group or a political party?
Of
the vigilante
Of a
group.
vigilante group.
So
Okay.
if I'm the leader of, vigilante group X, and I'm supposed to give the name, that somebody who was sitting at meetings, as we debated and strategized on our activities, is that person a member? Or it is people who actually were, at the forefront of violence or, strategy. Who is a member? If I was going with my younger cousin or brother, is he a member? You understand?
Yeah.
So how
But
are we catching them all in the net?
But it's here, it says about vigilante as a person
More
that you want to enforce. The aim is
It's to enforce the law without authority.
without authority. So that's a vigilante.
Yeah.
So any person who tries to enforce the law without authority can be termed to be a vigilante by
Okay.
this law.
But it's very clear. It's a political party vigilante group. That's what our laws. Because it's very clear. Political party vigilante group is what it outlaws. So it talks about we call it vigilantism, generally enforcing law without authority. But the focus is on political party vigilante group. Isn't that what it outlaws?
That's
Because if it defines it that political party vigilante group means a group of two or more persons acting as a vigilante group associated, related, connected, or affiliated to a political party and acting in concert with the aim of enforcing law and order without authority, and may engage in activities which include, and it goes on, providing protocol, and this is a controversial bit also, providing protocol and security services at events of the political party, providing protocol and security services for a political party member or a political party officer, providing security services during public elections, providing training for the purposes of providing protocol and security services to a political party member, a political party officer during public elections. So that is what the law outlaws, a political party vigilante group affiliated with a political party.
So effectively,
Does that address your concern?
Yes, in any way, he addressed. That's what we are saying. For me, it may solve a minute of the problem, but not all.
Okay.
Yes, it will be limited, specific to political vigilantism, right? So it means that yes, people can gather, the young men, the people we see, the well-built people, provided the aim is not to enforce any law
Without authority.
without authority.
Because you can enforce the law if it's a citizen's arrest. But that's why it says subject to constitutional provision, right?
No, the constitutional provision 3,
Yeah.
the Article 3, if I remember very well, it talks about where there is a coup d'etat or something, that people resist a takeover or to subversion of the constitution.
defend the Constitution.
You defend the
against all
constitution,
forms of abuse.
then it is not a crime, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a coup d'etat and the people decide that no, we are going to resist, there's going to be protest, and at the end of the day they succeed, or they do not succeed, you do not criminalize that activity and say that look, they committed. So if they are able to overthrow the people who did the coup, those people have not committed any crime. That is what Article 3, the import of it is.
Yes.
Yes. So it gives the citizens power to even overthrow people who take government illegitimately.
Okay. So that is not outlawed, obviously, because the Constitution is superior. Yes, I know you've been.
I was looking at that particular
Clause again.
definition on political party vigilante group. And I said, okay, two or more persons acting as a vigilante group associated without authority and may engage in it. So if this same group of people decide to register as a security company,
Yeah.
what do we do? Because you're saying these ones are out there with the aim of enforcing law and order without authority.
So your point is that once they register, they now have authority. And that's
private security.
That is a very important point, because so if you have a government, they can register all their vigilante groups.
Not just government, even any political party that can decide, okay, the law is talking about not having the authority, so let's license them.
So they can operate as
now they can operate as private security.
What do we
providing services.
What do we do at that?
So one of the questions I asked, for example, when this first came, the DI group that operated controversially from the castle, would they be caught under this act? And I read that, and myself and my colleagues thought they may, because if you look at it, it says operating, providing protocol services and security services at events of a political party. The Dombo event that they were at was a political party event. They're providing protocol services.
That was to cure that.
I think the mystery here to cure that issue.
But the question now is, the I was not registered.
No, it wasn't registered. Yes.
So now, if you register, if the I decides we are registering, and because we are registered as a security,
they can now provide
the
services. Okay.
And so if there is other motive beyond, just the security and protocol services, how are you able to control that?
Yeah.
How do you catch them in the net and prosecute?
If we both agree that the I, based on what the object and what they've done, comes under this law, surprise them that their name is not in the list of 7.
No. I think that question.
In the list of 7 that the law goes to Parliament with.
When deeper is that, so can a member of a political party, as may be defined, or party official, now register a private security company and say provide service for?
That's an interesting question.
Provide this service for my party.
Now this is my question, which is the laws can be subject to abuse, and if you don't fix it properly. So if we have a government that wants to silence the opposition ability to sort of protect its ballots, etc., all they have to do is to license that government's own affiliated groups and then shut the other opposition out. And so they will have all the licensed people that will be operating legally because they've been, and then the other party will not have same. I mean, I don't know how that can be cured in a law such as this.
The process, I would have liked to see a lot more stakeholder engagement on this so that we could go beyond the date of the 29th of April, because we are all looking at resolving a problem. And one of the ways of resolving the problem is to have an adequate legal framework that deals with it. So to the extent that you have very deterrent provisions on the related to that offense, it's beautiful. But I think that there's a lot more that we should look at, and all of us must go into this devoid of partisanship, because we all have something at stake, and what we have at stake is we risk eroding our democratic values. And so we should go in good faith as we go in to look at the bill and find out what can we do to strengthen this bill. What can we do to make it robust? And beyond the bill itself or enacting the bill, what are the other measures that must go into this? The root causes of vigilantism. How are we addressing this? That for me is
a central
fundamental.
Point. We're going to take a break. When I return up, one of the questions I'll ask you based on what you just said is the research and the work you've done, the report that you've done so far, etc. How does this bill reflect some of the things that you found, and how your own research can contribute in making this? So based on what you know from your report, what recommendations would you make to make this better, for example, based on what you know from your report? And I'll ask you the all-important question about how today's event, for example, in court, may affect the good faith that the parties have built going into this dialogue. I mean, do you think that it poisons the atmosphere a bit? Stay with us here on PMS. When we return, we'll examine those questions. My guest in the studio, Madam Josephine Nkrumah, is the head of the NCCE, and lawyer Victor Adaudu. Madam Nkrumah, so I know you've done a lot of work on this already. You started by talking about your own report. Based on the report and based on what you know and what you published on your website, what lessons can you draw from there to improve this bill, for example?
Well, let me talk about the positives that address some of this. One, the first step we've always said is we need to disband the groups.
Okay.
How we do it, it's finding expression
In the law.
In the law.
Okay.
But at least we can say, okay, there's a process to disband, or there's a step to disband, and that is even better because it says if you don't do it within a certain time frame, you risk imprisonment. So that for us is good. A second thing that we've spoken about and which we see it addressed here is the issue of the sponsorship, the aiding and abetting and endorsements and encouragements and whatnot, the support that comes. That also finds expression here. So to that extent, we are happy. So that politicians can't go around on radio platforms and TV platforms and make irresponsible statements. Yeah. Saying I look after this group, they are my boys, they worked hard.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that.
No. We cannot allow that to happen. And I'm glad it's so that people would begin to think twice
before they
come out in the open and make irresponsible statements. Then also you have a sentencing regime that is more deterrent here, which has been one of the things we've spoken up against, that we need a more deterrent sentencing regime for the perpetrators of these crimes. So that again finds expression here. So to that extent, I think that some of the recommendations have been catered for. But I will go back to talk about the issue of the root causes of vigilantism. Across all stakeholders, one of the key factors they all identified was unemployment and attendant poverty. And you find that vigilantes are usually recruited from the Zongos.
Yes.
The Zongos.
Yeah.
And so
extremely poor communities.
Extremely poor community. So we found the chief imam very worried about that phenomenon and saying that they are preying on our young ones here because they don't have education, they don't have employment, and so when they come and they promise them these things, go and do this, I'll give you it's attractive to them. So yes, over the years we've had employment policies to try and address the unemployment situation, but I don't think that we have addressed it. And unemployment will always be with us, but we need to find ways of getting the youth to understand that that is not your alternative. So there's a lot of civic education
that needs to
happen. So that as an underlying factor we need to address. Some of the other things that need addressing is the issue about the constitutional reform. And a lot of the stakeholders also spoke about the kind of governance we have in this country. Our constitution is very tilted in favor of the executive. And so the winner takes all syndrome also feeds into, the festering canker we have here. Because everybody now thinks that I must at all cost win this election, otherwise I'm going to lose everything. And it's like, I must at all cost win so that I can gain everything. So it's a do or die affair. We need to move away from that. And over the years, civil society organizations, constitutional experts, governance experts, everybody has spoken about this winner takes all syndrome. And then when you're in opposition, it's sweet to talk about it. When you are in power,
they don't
it's okay to be quiet about it.
I get the sense from what you're saying is that this law can just be one part of a comprehensive solution to the problem. Okay, I want to bring you in on what happened in court today, which is the national chairman of the NDC appearing before court. We know he's been charged. The party describes it as political intimidation, etc. There are people who fear that what happened today might poison the atmosphere going into because we've already begun the talks already to disband party militias, and that they plan further meetings next week or the week after in April. This might kill it. And Madam Josephine Nkrumah's dream of getting the parties to talk to consider the root causes might not ever happen.
Yes, I'm looking at the things that are unfolding because I've been privy to some information and I was even present around the presence of the meeting,
Yeah.
the very first meeting. And the two parties disagreed a lot on some issues. So it was, for me, no surprise that when this bill came, because the position that the ruling government was that the scope of this vigilantism should be limited to political, you realize that most of it was what the bill contains.
Yeah.
Now the aftermath, maybe the invitation of the national chairman, we've been to court, and today the echelons of the party have released a statement.
Yeah.
So you see the position of the party. I'm sure that it will not augur well, that they will have a conducive, very cordial atmosphere to discuss this matter. They are going to take entrenched positions, and I don't see how far we will go with it.
The dialogue might go.
Yeah, the atmosphere might have been poisoned.
But I ask a question. My question to you is, the man is before a court of competent jurisdiction.
Yes.
You are an officer of the court. You can excuse the political elements who are not lawyers in your party, but you, the lawyers who are representing him, should definitely be telling them that we trust you have faith in the judicial system to fairly and faithfully deal with this matter. Isn't that what we should be focusing on? That the man is before a court, the Attorney General, a political appointee, is not a judge in this matter.
Well, exactly. I think when we listened to the tape, the alleged tape at the police station, our conclusion, our judgment was that chairman and the executive, what we've heard, there's nothing criminal about it. It may raise some few security concerns that there were issues about. It was at the tail end of the election.
So you do expect to go to trial with this, that they should get to where it is?
Yeah, we believe that even if it goes to trial, at the end of the prosecution case,
he will be vindicated.
It will file a submission of no case for the courts to look at it. And we believe that there's no way they can prove beyond reasonable doubt if they will only hinge on that tape.
Then you don't have a problem. So go to the table. So go to the table and just talk.
The good thing is that when you appear before a judge who is sound with the principles of law, and you know that he knows his way and he's on top of issues,
you don't have a problem.
You don't have a problem.
Okay. Madam Joseph Nkrumah, we have a few seconds, but you've heard the parties speak on this. He's a lawyer for the man. He says he doesn't see how this helps the process. What would you say to the parties in the wake of all that has happened today with the national chairman being prosecuted? We've come too far, for this to destroy everything.
But I think that we should be able to, we should have a disconnect between what is going on in court and the process. And I'm saying this not because, you know, I just want to say that we've come too far and we've come to the point where we need to sit and talk. And so if we believe in the judiciary, if we believe in the rule of law, and we believe that we have a case, let that take care of itself whilst the parties continue to dialogue. And as I've
He's shaking his head.
And as I've said,
he's shaking his
head.
No, you see, because you see, you are leading a group, you are leading a party.
Yes.
And the followers, sympathizers.
Yeah, they can't make that distinction.
No, they can't make that distinction, and they won't.
Yeah.
And when you
have to listen to the party.
You need to sometimes listen to
your,
them, and they won't forgive you.
Well, they can make and unmake you.
They can make and unmake you.
They're in a difficult place. They're in a difficult place.
So at the end of the day,
but you see,
you are willing as a leader.
We are looking beyond the political party here, because when these things get out of hand, it is not one party that suffers.
Yeah.
It's you and I and every average Ghanaian. And that is what I want us to look at. We have to look beyond politics in this, partisan politics, and address this as a national matter of urgency, so that we can find a solution to this. Because the moment this process is derailed, everything is going downhill.
Madam Joseph Nkrumah, I hope the parties will listen to you, your appeal. The man is already telling you this is not possible. Well,
we have to keep hope alive.
Of course. And that for me is a heartbreaker. In fact, they've met for the very first time, and then this happens. And as you're saying, if you listen to the body language and what they've said today, I really, I'm afraid. All the work that she's putting, all the work we've put in to get here might just go up in flames. But at least there's something small we can hold on to, which is the law. That one, you don't have a choice once it's passed, you know. So, well, let's see how this goes, but keep hope alive. Hashtag is Party Malicious. Now, my name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.